So this is our hog lot, or now known as the goat lot. Morning, goats. How are you? You doing good? Are you? This here's the only goat that really lets me pet him. He's one of the ones that was born on the farm. I kind of played with him when he was younger, so he still kind of likes me. The rest of them, oh no, watch this. Hey goats, how are you? Oh yeah, just run away. So we've done a lot of cleanup on this. Of course, I've got some trees down now. I leave them down mostly because the goats like to jump on them. And over here across the road is the barn. This barn was built in, well, my grandfather put his initials in there when he was 13 years old. And he was born in 1897. And so that barn's been there for a while. It needs a lot of repair right now. Foundation's starting to come out from underneath it, and a lot of the boards are falling off of it. So there is the bulls up there. They're at the hay cradle that I built. I did that mainly to keep the goats from climbing on top of the hay bale. Used to put it in a hay ring all the time. And it's helped some, but of course there is a few of the goats that still like to climb on top of it whenever it gets down a little bit. I've got 3 bulls in here. Pokey and Buster, and then that's Brutus over there by himself. He's the youngest of them. And one of the billies is over there on the far side where the bulls are at. And there he is. Come out to see me, did you? What's up, boys? How are you? That's Pokey, number 10. He was my first one. Yeah. And this is Buster. He's actually Pokey's son. I've cleaned up a lot of this lot. There used to be a ditch down through here years ago. Oh, it was probably about 5 feet deep. And had a lot of big rocks lining it. Trees were growing up. I got in there with the track loader and spent, a good 2 or 3 days, I know. Cleaning it out, pushing the trees out, pushing the big boulders in, and then coming back and pushing dirt in on top of it. And you can see, this here is the old pond. It was all grown up in small trees. I don't know what kind of tree it was, but it was basically a weed. So I got rid of all those, and it still stays wet down in there because it's got a spring, which is not active right now. So it must be drying up a little bit. See if we can get down here and see. And you can see kind of where it's wet right here. And it comes out all right in here. You can see where there's a little bit of water up here. There's some over here. This whole hillside has water in it. And right here, if you look down in there, you can see there's some water coming out. So this is the source of most of the water for this pond. It used to stay full most of the time. And you can see down in there, I'll pull that up a little bit and you can see it. See the water down there? Yeah, that stays in there. I guess if you were raising hogs, they would love this. Might be because why they called it the hog lot. Now I'm going to walk up here a little ways. I'm going to show you a little spring pond. And this spring up here that I'm going to show you was once used to haul water out of. My great-grandfather had built a concrete tank. As I remember it, it was about 30 inches by 30 inches by 6-7 feet long, and it set in the outlet of the spring, and that spring would fill that tank up, and it actually had an overflow pipe, which I can show you up here a little bit. It was steel pipe, and that was piped down away from the tank, I guess mainly to keep the area dry around that tank. Now, as I remember it when I was a child, there was a piece of sheet iron roofing material that laid over the top of that tank to keep debris from getting in there, leaves, sticks, so on. And this here is the pond. I came in here 2 years ago, maybe 3, and cleaned it out with a small excavator that I borrowed from our neighbor. And I guess it's probably 36 inches deep. By now it's probably silted in some, so it's not quite that deep, but you can see up here, and I'm going to get a little closer, you can see the water running right here. Zoom in a little bit for you. See that water? That comes out of that spring. It's got a pretty good flow. Get up here where you can actually see it. I've kind of been trying to maintain it. I haven't been down here probably for a year, so it's got a lot of stuff laying in it right now. Ultimately, if I had my wish, I would get in here, and you can see part of that old tank laying right there. But I would get in here and kind of clean this out, set a new tank in here, concrete tank, and pipe it back down there to where that spring pond is. You can kind of see this. I'll just follow it down. And then fence that pond off and give the cattle just a little bitty piece of it to go in there and drink out of. In the summertime, you can find them down in there standing in it, which that's what cows do. Had a lot of black locust, the thorn type trees that were growing in this area right here. I've got in here with a track loader, bulldozer, pushed a lot of it out, kept running the brush hog over it. And then when we finally got some goats back on the property, the goats came in here and they cleaned things up. There are no more black locusts growing in this lot. Someday I hope to get this section of the woods fenced off on the other side. I've got one electric wire that holds the cattle out of it. Deer get in here an awful lot. You can catch them here in the afternoons browsing around. But I like to put a gate in there and let the goats run in there off and on, trying to clean up some of that and see if we can't get a little bit of grass growing in there and keep the brush down. Up there in the corner of this paddock is a pen. I built that when it was time to bring cattle here. And that's where they first stayed for a few days as they got used to me. And then I turned them loose. I use it mainly for sorting. I bring the cows and the calves in here, and I sort them out. I used to run the steers in here in the springtime. I don't do that anymore. I just keep them over there by the corral because it's easier to load out there. But when it's time to put the cows with the bulls, I sort the cows into different groups, 3 different groups. I got the older cows, they go with Pokey. I got the second generation cows, they go with Buster. And then all the heifers, they end up with Brutus right now. And as you can see, over there is the goats and the bulls. And they're enjoying this morning. It's a little on the cool side, but the winds are laid down. And today is a day that I am going to load up the steers and take them to the auction house. And with that, I'm going to sign out. I hope you all have a good day and enjoyed this video.